press the bell icon on YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Hacking the Headlines. I have some really interesting footage to share with you all. This aired on a local Milwaukee news station last night, and it would appear that some very strange things are going on in their sky over there. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you the clip, and I'll get into what I think about it afterwards here.
Are those fireworks? What is that?
They look like some fireworks or something.
Aliens? I don't know.
What the heck
Where is that? You see it, right?
I'm actually, yes,
Okay.
I do see it.
Okay.
It's getting weirder by the second.
I know.
It's like they're sticking around.
We're gonna do some
Anybody?
digging and figure out what that is. Back in a moment.
Are we rolling on that?
What do you think that was?
Okay, so as you could see in that clip there, that's something very odd, something out of the norm, not something we see every day. And the news anchors were really freaked out by it as well, it seemed, saying, oh man, what is that? Maybe it's aliens. I think that they are preparing us for an alien invasion in order to trick us into the Antichrist system, to bring everyone together under one against a common enemy, or the aliens will come here and say, we're actually your creators and we're going to show you the mysteries of the universe and bring us all together that way. But I do believe they are planning an alien invasion. I have no doubt about that. And this could be simply another test of Project Bluebeam, something we've seen, I believe, many times in the past. And if you don't know what Project Bluebeam is, it was Sergei Monast, a man named Sergei Monast, who researched it. He died very mysteriously after discovering his research and after releasing his research. And this research suggested that he found information saying that, the government was planning on building technology to create false images all around the world in the sky in order to trick people into believing in aliens or whatever they want to project into the sky. So this could be another testing of Project Bluebeam. If you want to learn more about Project Bluebeam, if you don't know about it, I will leave a link to the research in the description so you can check it out for yourself. But yeah, this could definitely be, like I said, another testing of Project Bluebeam, or it could be one of the many signs and wonders that we will continue to see in the stars, moon, and sun as we get closer and closer to the final day of judgment. And this stuff will only continue to, step up exponentially as the days and weeks and months go by here. So I think it's really important to keep our eyes on the sky because that is where the signs will be. But, the mainstream media is trying to say that the group of lights over Milwaukee were simply a flock of seagulls. And that's the explanation they're trying to give here. You can see on the Daily Mail it says, however, it was later proven that the lights were nothing more than a big flock of seagulls flying above the Milwaukee County Courthouse. I'm looking at the footage with my own two eyes. I don't think those are seagulls. That's my opinion. I think that's a ridiculous explanation for this. But anyway, I also wanted to get into this a little bit because the stars themselves are not what we've been told. And I would highly suggest, if you doubt me on this, to research it for yourself. Now, here's some up-close footage of the stars. And as you can see, they're not these static balls of gas that we were taught about in school. I don't know what they are, but it sure is interesting to look at. But I also just wanted to point out real quick about Wernher von Braun's tombstone here, because, Wernher von Braun is considered to be the grandfather of rocketry, one of the founding leaders of NASA. And on his tombstone, he just happens to have the Bible verse, Psalms 19:1, that says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. And the firmament is referring to the glass dome that is above us that we can't get through, which is why we've never been to space. That's why they make up the moon landings, because there's a firmament, and we can't get through the firmament. And Wernher von Braun seems to agree with that because he put it right on his tombstone. I'm going to play a clip for you real quick of one of his assistants that claimed Wernher von Braun told her, the ultimate, the final card to play here was the alien invasion. So I'll go ahead and play that clip right now for you.
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer. but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played. That game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late. In 1977, I was at a meeting in Fairchild Industries in a conference room called the War Room. This is 1977. And they were talking about creating a war in the Gulf region when there was $25 billion in the space-based weapons program that yet had not been identified. It wasn't called the Strategic Defense Initiative, at least, until 1983. This weapons system then had obviously been going on for some time that I didn't know anything about. So I stood up in this meeting in 1977 and it said, I'd like to know why we're talking about space-based weapons against these enemies. I'd like to know more about this. Would somebody tell me what this is about? Nobody answered. They went on with this meeting as though I hadn't said anything.
Okay, so there's the interview. You can take it for what it is. You can take it with a grain of salt, but I will be leaving a source link in the description in case anybody wants to look into it further for themselves. But like I said before, I do not believe there's any such thing as aliens. I don't think Werner von Braun believed in aliens. I think he believed that there was a firmament and that we live in an enclosed system. At least that's what his tombstone would suggest. And we all know that, NASA was nothing more than the Nazis who were given a new name. And if you don't know about that, please look into Project Paperclip. It shows all the proof you need to understand how the Nazis became NASA. The Nazis did not lose the war. They just became NASA. And Werner von Braun was a former Nazi turned NASA leader. And it's really no surprise that he dropped that little Easter egg on his tombstone because that's what they love to do. But, all this fighting that's going on, all this division, dividing everybody, according to being a man or a woman, black and white, red and blue, left and right, always trying to get us divided, always trying to get us fighting, all the wars that are going on, that is not the ultimate goal for them at all. That is the means to an end, all the division, because they need to get us so exhausted and so tired of all the fighting and all the wars that we will be begging for a savior. And they're going to provide us with one. It's going to be a false messiah that is going to bring everybody together under the umbrella of peace and safety. And once the whole world declares peace and safety, sudden destruction falls upon them. So the peace and safety brought about by the Antichrist is a false peace and a false safety because it's not under God's laws. So of course, even as it is in today's world, the Christians will be looked at as hateful, crazy bigots who are trying to keep the world away from peace and safety when nothing could be further from the truth. You know, the whole world is being turned upside down. Good is being called bad, bad is being called good. And this is all in preparation for the Antichrist.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?